Hello everyone, this is Malcolm Terra 1, and these are my predictions for UFC 127, Penn versus Fitch. This actually looks like a really solid card. A lot of people are disappointed with the main event, but I don't see how you could be. I mean, Penn is probably the second greatest heavyweight of all time when you really think about it. The only thing that's holding him back is the title, and B.J. Penn is one of the greatest fighters of all time, so this is two potential UFC Hall of Famers when it's all said and done, and people are going to look back in this fight and actually think about it in a historical standpoint. With that being said, I think this is going to be a solid card. So let's get started. The first fight of the evening is Kyle Nook versus Chris Camozzi. They're both veterans from The Ultimate Fighter season 11. Season 9. Is it 11? Yeah, it's 11. And they're both middleweights, even though I think they both could drop weight to welterweights, but they're doing very well at middleweight. Both of them are. They're both 2-0, and I think that they're both very well-rounded fighters. They're what I consider the new breed of mixed martial arts fighters that aren't necessarily great at everything, but they know enough of all the martial arts and they can bring them together to the point where they are dangerous mixed martial artists. And I think that's where we're going to see more of. Not necessarily a jiu-jitsu black belt transitioning or a kickboxer or Muay Thai fighter transitioning, but more people that train mixed martial arts growing up and develop all the skills at once instead of just one skill and then learning the rest of them playing catch up. This fight can go either way. They're both very well-rounded fighters. I think it's going to be a great fight. When it all just comes down to it, I think Kyle Nook, being the hometown fighter, is going to have a major support of fans, and I think he's going to win this fight via unanimous decision. I think that Chris Camozzi is a great fighter. I think that he's going to be game for this fight, but I think Nook is going to outpoint him, and I think he's going to win this fight, and he's going to win all 3 rounds and win this decision, and probably the fans will erupt in support. So with that being said, Kyle Nook by unanimous decision. Second fight of the evening is going to be Chris Lights Out Lytle versus Brian Ebersole. Brian Ebersole is a late replacement for Carlos Condit, and I'm going to say that I was really disappointed when I heard that Carlos Condit pulled out of the fight because I thought this was going to be a great fight. I'm not saying it won't be a great fight, it's just now it won't have the buzz about it that would be generated from a Chris Lytle and Carlos Condit fight. Brian Ebersole, he's an American who's been fighting in the Australian scene for a while. He has over 67 wins, not wins, but fights overall in MMA. He's a veteran of the sports completely. He's fought in the IFL. He's fought in Strikeforce. You look at his record. He has a lot more wins than losses. Most of those wins by stoppage. He's fought some big fighters, such as he's lost to Kyle Nook and he's lost to Hector Lombard, but he definitely gets the job done on most of the occasion. This should be an interesting fight because he looks like he's a finisher, and that's exactly what Chris Lytle is. And if anything about Chris Lytle, he's trying to win a bonus. He's trying to get either fight of the night, submission of the night, knockout of the night, whatever he can get. So Chris Lytle also has a wealth of experience. You actually probably put these fighters' records together, and they have over 100 wins easy. So there's a lot of experience, and they're both going to try to finish each other. So with that being said, I think Chris Lytle is going to finish him in the first round. I think it's going to be Ebersole going balls to the wall, and I think he's going to get caught because Chris Lytle just has that wealth of experience against the top competition, and I think he's going to knock him out in the first round. Knockout or TKO, but I'm just going to say knockout just because I think that he's going to counter him and knock his lights out and actually live up to his nickname instead of getting a submission. So Chris Lytle by first round knockout. Then the third fight of the evening is Jorge Sotiropoulos versus Dennis Siver. Both these guys are on rolls. Winner of this fight will definitely be in top contention for the UFC Lightweight Championship. The only thing about this fight is Dennis Siver, while he has gotten great, I would say great, but he's gotten a lot better than when he started on the ground. He is nowhere near Jorge Sotiropoulos' ground skills. Dennis Siver's shot at winning this fight is to keep this fight standing and stuff the takedowns and keep making it a kickboxing match. But Dennis Siver definitely has some work to do on the ground, and if it does go to the ground, expect Sotiropoulos to use the killer instinct to end this fight. We've seen Sotiropoulos tap out some tough lightweights before, and I think we'll see it again. I see this fight being a second round submission for Jorge Sotiropoulos. Jorge Sotiropoulos is definitely the hometown boy. Like, he's the poster child right now for Dana White and the UFC. They see him as the most marketable Aussie on their roster, and especially if he wins this fight, he'll probably be right behind Anthony Pettis, unless Anthony Pettis loses to Clay Guida or has a bad showing. Sotiropoulos will be in that line for a lightweight championship fight. So with that being said, Jorge Sotiropoulos by submission. And then the co-main event of the evening is Michael Bisping versus Jorge Rivera. This is a good fight the UFC is putting together. I think this is going to be a brawl. Bisping and Rivera both have great striking, both different types of strikers. Rivera is more of a brawler type striker. Bisping's more of a technical striker, and that can be explosive as far as fireworks for a fight. Not sure exactly why Bisping is getting this fight against Rivera. I mean, Rivera is a tough fighter, and he's on a roll right now with 3-5 win streak, but I don't think that Bisping is at his level yet. I would have much rather seen Rivera get another fight before this, perhaps against a Brian Stann or Chris Lieben, but this is what it is. And I can see this fight being similar to Chris Lieben versus Brian Stann. Chris Lieben was the heavy favorite. No one thought Stann had a shot, and then Stann shocked the world and put Lieben to sleep. And nobody expecting that from Jorge Rivera, so I'm going to pick Jorge Rivera because I don't think anyone is picking him, and I think that he is a dangerous opponent. I mean, when you really look at it, his daughter, I believe his 1-year-old daughter, passed away. He took a lot of time off from mixed martial arts, and after that, he's reeled off 3 straight wins in the UFC. So I think he's really using that as motivation, as something to pull from inspirationally, and it's been working for him. And I think when people are counting out Jorge Rivera, that's when he's at his most dangerous. I think that he's one of the dark horses in the middleweight division, and with this type of stylistic matchup, I think that he one punch away from putting Bisping to sleep. And we've seen Bisping susceptible to knockouts. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. So I'm going to pick Jorge Rivera by a second-round knockout. Probably not the popular choice, but I just think that Jorge Rivera has nothing to lose at this point. Bisping has a lot to lose at this point. And I think that Rivera definitely is the underdog, and he loves that role. He's going to pull off one of the bigger upsets of the year. So Jorge Rivera by second-round knockout. And then the main event of the evening is B.J. Penn versus Jon Fitch. This fight has also been upgraded as far as what type of fight it is. It's now a title eliminator. According to Dana White, the winner of this fight will be next in line for a welterweight title shot. So a lot of people were wondering why Fitch would. A lot of people were wondering why either one of them would be considered for a welterweight title shot because of Fitch's style of lay and pray, and B.J. Penn just moving up to the welterweight division in the first place. But it really makes sense when you think about it because either way, either George St. Pierre wins against Jake Shields and he moves up to middleweight, or Jake Shields wins and they need an opponent for him. And Jon Fitch or B.J. Penn will be excellent opponents for Jake Shields to prove to be the true middleweight championship, welterweight champion as it was. With that being said, it's about this fight right now, and this is a good clash of styles. It's a solid wrestler from Purdue University, and Jon Fitch, who has one of the greatest winning percentages in UFC history. I mean, it's better than everybody's except for Anderson Silva, who is, of course, unbeaten. And he's only lost to George St. Pierre. Literally, he is the gatekeeper for the welterweight championship, and that's how he's been treated. He's been fighting his prospects. He's been fighting his top contenders, and he's just beating them all. And it seems as if you want a shot at GSP, you need to beat Jon Fitch. And I think that's how B.J. Penn is looking at it. If B.J. Penn beats Jon Fitch, the consensus #2 welterweight in the world, then that puts B.J. Penn right in his spot and right there for another rematch against George St. Pierre or against Jake Shields. I can see this fight going one of two ways. Either Jon Fitch can establish a takedown and lay and pray his way to a decision, or B.J. Penn can take him down, which we really haven't seen Jake Shields on his back besides against George St. Pierre. and work some ground and pound, work a submission, or when Jon Fitch takes down B.J. Penn, he works a submission from the back, which he is very able to do. With that being said, I just don't see Jon Fitch tapping out. I just see Jon Fitch taking B.J. Penn down and ground and pound and pulling a chest on in, or Jon Fitch, they're both known for it, and grinding out a decision. This Jon Fitch's MO. He's not shy about what he's good at, and he's going to keep doing it because he got him to this point. Whether you like his style or not, he's headlining a pay-per-view for the UFC, and that's only because of his winning percentage. He is one of the most dominant fighters in UFC history, and he's not going to change his style because people think it's boring. If you don't think if a fighter is opposed to the wrestling style in MMA, then get off your back and do something about it. But nobody's been able to do something about it, so Jon Fitch can keep going. With that being said, those are my predictions for UFC 127. For my last predictions for the Fedor over the Silva pay-per-view, or actually Showtime card, I went 4-1, which puts my record up to 12-7 for the year. So I'm doing a lot better than I started, but hopefully this will boost me even further, so I have more wins than losses on my record. With that being said, this is Malcantero 1, and those are my predictions for UFC 127. So have a good one, and later.